Well, hey everybody, it's Monday, the 15th day of September 2025. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. Let's go ahead and get started here. Pull a rune from the rune bag here, from the Elder Futhark rune, if one will ever end up in my hand. We have Othala, 24th rune of the Elder Futhark, the last rune. It's essentially Kenaz in all directions. You've got the top half of it is Ingus, which is Kenaz focused inward. The light of spirit, or the torch, is the key word, but it's essentially the light of spirit focused inward. Is to be the seed. It's called the seed, and so you've got all this energy focused inward, and then it expresses outward below with Gebo in balanced energy exchange with others, which is also Kenaz in all directions. Kenaz looks like this. That's the 6th rune of the Elder Futhark. Othala is very similar in terms of progression, being the last rune of the Elder Futhark, to the World card, the 21st card, Major Arcana card in the Tarot, where it's the culmination of everything, and that you've learned and experienced and expressed and lived. It's an earth element rune. It means sacred space, ancestral heritage, protection, possessions, inheritance, the Akashic record. It could mean traditions, security, peace, all that you've achieved essentially is with Othala. And again, and I just relate to it as, in the final analysis, where is your sacred space? Well, it's the soul, that understanding that's what you are, is the soul, and living there instead of the reactive ego. So to me, the light inward, creating that singularity that then expands into consciousness. You realize at that point who you are, if you haven't already. And so that's how I basically see Othala. So something today about that realization, or something to do maybe with inheritance, or something to do with tradition, loyalty, possessions, prosperity today. We'll see, though, because prosperity can mean a lot of things. It's like what I've said with Fortuna Major, the Geomancy rune. What is your greater fortune? Is it money? Is it status? Is it family? Is it who you are, knowing who you are, and who you really are? Here we have Vaya, which is a new path. Vaya is all single dots, all the way down: fire, air, water, and earth. Its complement is populace, whereas this is an active principle. Populace with 2 dots all the way around be passive, so that'd be a follower. This is actively following a path that could lead to, with Othala, your sacred space, or prosperity, or something culminating. But there's a sense of culmination that I don't want you to forget about Othala. Maybe a new path to higher awareness, where maybe you're looking at what's going on around you in your life, and thinking, well, this is not really who I am. This is not really what I thought it was. This is not what I want, or whatever. And with Vaya, a new path is opening. And the other thing about Vaya is that it can also mean stuck in a set of perceptions, single-mindedness, where you realize maybe that's not reflective of the true, situation, or my true set of beliefs. So I tend to look at it, especially with the idea, the negative side of it is being stuck in perception, that, you can't seem to get out of that single-minded focus. With Othala, you're bringing in the light, and it's really an as above, so below rune, where you're bringing in the light of spirit awareness of who you are, and then expressing that outward onto a new path. That would immediately mean that you'd have to let go of perceptions that are egoic and that really don't serve you. cut the deck, take the lower half, take 3 cards. Oh, my favorite one in the Thoth Tarot, the Queen of Swords. I love that one. I don't have it in here because I could show you if you've never seen the deck. It's she's in the clouds and she's reclining on this crystalline throne, right? And swords is the air element, and so she's up there with the clouds, and everything's, you know, the way Lady Frida Harris drew those cards, very geometric, you know, very sacred geometry oriented. And she's got a sword in one hand and a severed head in the other. It's like, take no prisoners, you know. She expects you to be honest. There's no, you can't do anything but that, right? We also have the Page of Cups, and we have the Fool. So we have no numbers here for, and then the idea of new beginnings and undeveloped potential with the Fool. With Vaya, I think that's definitely a connection there. But so with the only numerology then that exists in the reading then is, or overall numerology, is the one for Othala, which is 24. So that's a 6. I don't even have to do it here. That's a 6, which is 6 is about harmony. It's about shared path. It's about guidance and assistance and empathy. And so 6 in the tarot, you look at all the 6 cards, you're looking at a sense of unevenness there, where one has more power than the other to, you know, to be generous, to provide guidance, to provide assistance, to extend empathy and compassion. But let's go ahead and talk about these. I'll just do it in the order I drew them. So we have one card from the Major Arcana, obviously, with the Fool. But here we have the Queen of Swords. Again, it's the air element. You see she's surrounded by clouds of deception. They're kind of, you know, generating there around her, like, okay, you want to talk to me. You want to come to me for advice. You want to come to me for whatever. And you better be honest with me. You better not deceive me in any way, shape, or form. You see the sword pointing up to heaven, pointing up to spirit, straight up and down. So she is not going to listen to any nonsense. She wants the truth. And so maybe that's you today in the reading, where you need from other people the truth about something. And you don't want to listen to any garbage. You don't want to listen to any nonsense. You want something that's dependable here. Here we have the Page of Cups. You're looking, cups is the water element. You see the water is not still behind him. He's standing in a different place than the emotions that he's feeling. It's like he's holding out, in the court. It's like you've got the Knight of Cups and you've got the Page of Cups, and they're extending a cup, a chalice. Almost, to me, it just reminds me of an offering of something. Here you have the little fish sticking its head out. One could say it's a card of Pisces. Here you have a student. Pages are students. They're messengers. Here you have somebody, though, with given that it's the water element, you're looking at somebody with a spiritual focus. You're looking at somebody who's reliable and conscientious and dependable. And so again, paired with the Queen, if someone comes to you and someone wants some advice, or someone wants to talk about something and tell you about something, are they dependable? Can you trust them? That's going to be necessary here for the Queen, especially if you're the Queen. Someone may come to you in offering of particular information or a particular message, but you have to determine whether or not they're honest and dependable and conscientious and reliable. Can you rely on what they're telling you? And if not, you know, maybe the Queen is this turning point for you, where you are trying to understand the truth about something, where you thought you were being told the truth, and now you're demanding the truth now. And maybe, you know, the wishy-washy, changeable water element here, maybe as much as this person wants to give you information that's that's true. Maybe it just isn't. Maybe they have an agenda that is not as honorable as what you now need. So the path, I think, also begins with the Queen, where you're demanding honesty, you're demanding integrity, you're demanding truth versus deception. I mean, the air element can also involve legal matters, and so there could be a legal situation in your life right now where you need to know what the facts are. But this is just the facts, and demanding that from people now, and maybe someone who's come into your orbit, you're just not so sure you can trust that person, that they're not as dependable, because the water element's very changeable. And just like with the King of Cups that we had in last Thursday's reading, you're looking at somebody that's passive aggressive. I mean, they might be honorable with you, but yeah, maybe not, especially if they're a person in authority or someone who others view as in authority. And then they tell you what they want you to know, not necessarily the truth. And then we also had the King of Pentacles, and I said at that point, these two cards may represent two sides of the same individual, where the agenda is they need to protect what they have. And so to do that, they have to lie to people. And so if that's the case, this could be a little bit of an extension from Thursday's reading. But with the Queen of Swords, it's like, okay, but I need to know the truth, right? I need to know the truth of what's really going on. And I'm going to demand that. And there can't be any, don't send out the young one, who's not really that sophisticated, but, wants to come across as dependable and reliable and spiritual. But is it a facade? That's the problem with the court cards. You have to worry, particularly when you get up to the king level. Is this just a facade that you're looking at? Not so much with the Queen. The knights, they're a little more, we're going out on behalf of, but again, on behalf of who? Is it the community, or is it the powers that be? So you have to worry there. And excuse me, with the page, they're not that innocent. They're not that innocent. They come across as it because they're the youthful presence in the court, but maybe the youth that they're being, maybe they are the ones that are not aware of what the truth is, and so they're trying to tell you as they see it. But there's an agenda there. There's the idea of confirmation bias, and is there present in the pages because they're still young and they don't know any better. They think they're being told the truth, but then they, and it's not the truth. And so if that's happening for you right now, where you're starting to awaken to the idea that, hey, you know what, I think that something else is going on, and that would be reflective in the clouds lower here. Something's going on, and I need to know what it is. Then you're gonna, and if you start getting information from somebody, particularly a younger person, than you might want to say, well, okay, what are they part of? What is their agenda? What are they trying to tell me here? Can I rely on it? That's the question you need to ask. Can I really trust and depend on what that person says? And then we come to the Fool. Now, the Fool is on the precipice of something new here. The Fool I interpret as the soul taking its leap into physical reality, to create the experiences that it needs to have, that it's decided it needs to have. He's taken with him his little satchel there. I always refer to him as a he. At this point, we don't know if it's going to be a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, and we don't know the gender yet. Here, this is unity consciousness with the zero here, the zero card, still there. Still focused in the light, is essentially the light of spirit. Has his trusty companion, the dog, by its side. You see a white rose here, and it's either a rose or a lily. Looks, with the leaves on it, it looks more like a rose, but it's going upward like a lily. But anyway, I think it's a rose. You also have the pattern of the wheel here all over the tunic of the Fool. he doesn't have to look where he or it doesn't have to, the soul does not have to look where it's going. It knows where it's going. It trusts the process. And so it just seems to me like there's some trust issues here between the queen and the page, but the new path, you have to trust the process that you're going in the right direction here. And that's why I said the Fool may relate to Vaya really well. You've let go of perceptions that suddenly you realize, that's not what it is, okay? And you're demanding to know the truth of things now so that you can, and then from there, this new path opens where you can trust the process, and because your focus is on spirit and higher awareness, that's the place you trust, not what's going on around you and what you're reacting to, because you don't know that what you're being told is the truth. And so you have to step back. You have to get higher. You have to be able to see the situation from a spiritual perspective, right? From one that you let go of any attachments to earthly stuff that is agenda driven, so that you understand the bigger truth of something. And you bring with you, within the satchel here, you're bringing with you what you've learned about all of that, and sort of like what you're judging everything by. It's like, okay, does it meet this standard, basically? This higher self standard where, we create the world that we see by developing the perceptions that we have about it, and letting ego react instead of soul react, which the soul reaction is just to observe and to try to figure out what's going on and understand the dynamics and all of that without really getting too involved in anything. And just watch things play out, watch the interplay, to find out what the truth of something is. And if you've been used to being part of that interplay, where you're having to make a decision of what do I believe, well, then you're using reaction, you're using the presentation of others within it to make that determination, instead of stepping back, allowing the soul that you are to do that. And so I think that the guidance for today with the 6 numerology then would be higher self-guidance, would be understanding the undeveloped potential of the Fool here, or the soul, to take its leap into physical reality and to be able to create the world that it sees, and needs to see and needs to learn from. And so it may not be a perfect world. I mean, certainly the one we live in right now is far from perfect, but we can learn a lot from that. We can learn a lot about what's the balance, what's the motivations for all of it. Because to me, it always feels like there's something else going on here. There's some other unspoken stuff, some unspoken truth that is guiding everything. Unspoken hand that is not something that is higher self like. It's ego, and it's ego on steroids, and it's egos that want to control the situation. And so if you step back and see everything as the players and that somebody else is the puppeteer, figure out who that puppeteer is, and see what that person or that group's agenda is to have all of this play out the way that it is. Don't get caught up in the goings on of a situation. In other words, it could be that with the clouds below here of deception, she's sort of above it, and she's got the sword pointed towards spirit, and she's demanding, okay, I need to know the truth. There's a lot of stuff and nonsense going on here. What's the real truth here? So there could be something going on in your life right now where you need to know that. And in switching and not being part of the goings on, and getting above it all and trying to understand the bigger picture, of who's controlling, who's really going to win in this situation, who's going to benefit the most, who's really the guiding hand that has that imbalance. Again, in the tarot, the 6 cards are all about imbalance. It reminds me of the 6 of Pentacles, where you've got the 2 guys on the ground holding their hands out, and you got a man of means standing above them, putting coins in one, but You can assume he's going to put coins in the other, but we don't know that. So there's an imbalance there, and there's an imbalance class-wise between somebody with money and somebody without, and two people without. And keeping them there because he's not lifting them up. He's not taking them to find a job or giving them a job in his own business, we'll say. So there's no change in status there. There's the scales behind where he's out of his peripheral vision. So it's almost like crossing your fingers behind your back when you're trying to get somebody to buy into what you're saying. So there's the illusion of balance, but it's not. You look at the way the pentacles are drawn. You've got 3 on one side, 1 at the top, and 2 over here. So there's an imbalance there. It's almost like the hangman. When you play hangman, that little game you play when you're a kid on paper, where you draw the hangman and whatever. I forget now how we played it, but anyway, it's it's something that. There's the illusion of balance. There's the illusion of generosity. There's the illusion of kindness in the sixes. But is there, maybe in the 6 of Cups, there's a little bit more, but with the 6 of Pentacles, there's definitely an agenda, so I think that things are not always as they seem when somebody's trying to massage your ego, basically, and telling you, oh, you're so important to me, and no, you may not be. You've got to see through the bluster. You've got to see through the manipulation, right? And because the Othala in your life could be at risk. The protection you take for granted could be at risk. The sacred space could be impacted here in a way. Your home, your life, it could be impacted in a way that is for somebody else's benefit. And so when you take that leap into with that the Fool takes, and you're trusting the process, well, which process are you trusting? Are you going to trust the process of spirit, of what you know to be true, and then gauge everything, by that? Or are you going to buy into the stuff, that people want to say that's just garbage? It's not true at all. And does it stir up feelings within you that make you go, oh yeah, that's the right thing? No, that's the minute you got to step back. Are you solidifying perceptions in you that are not going to get you where you need to go on the path that's opening for you? Because the second that you start demanding the truth from people, everything changes. Seriously, everything changes. You'll have people that won't want to talk to you because they're not truthful people. It's like, they kind of feel the shift in the energy with you and they kind of back away. Well, that tells you something, doesn't it? So so I think the Queen is the one that's controlling this path. I think the Queen is the one through the demanding of truth and integrity and honesty is the one that's there to protect the Othala in your life, the sacred space in your life, where you realize that maybe what I thought was not true anymore, and I know it now. And so I'm not going to allow anybody to manipulate me or to sell me a bill of goods ever again. And when that happens, a new path does open for you. And trust me, people who feel the same way you'll feel in alignment with them, that, maybe these were people that you wouldn't have thought that about in the past, but all of a sudden, you understand the truth that they understand, and the need for that. And so there could be just a shift right now in you where you feel like you need to know the facts. You're not getting them. You're being sold a bill of goods, and but you're going to demand it, no matter what. And it's to protect who you are, to protect who you really are inside, not the egoic type of creation that happens when we're here in form, because that's what happens. They refer to it as the personality. Well, if you're somebody that demands truth from people, you make people uncomfortable. You do, because they don't want to give it to you. So, instead it's like, well, I'm going to offer you this. It's like, go away. I need to know because, I know what my path is. as a soul. I know now what that is. And I'm going to trust what higher consciousness tells me before I'm ever going to trust what a person tells me. Because especially if you're empathic or you're intuitive, either one, you're going to know something's off. Either way, because their energy shifts when people are lying to you. It shifts. And it's like they're on a roll and you're just standing back going, "Ooh, what's that about?" And so, again, there could be something today where you're starting to make that realization of the Queen of Swords, and you can't go back. Once you go there, you can't go back. You can't go back into the lies. You can't go back into the perceptions that are agenda-based. You can't go there anymore. Everything changes and a new path opens. So whatever it is for you, however, I'm trying to keep this as general as possible so it'll resonate with a bunch of people. Instead of saying, "Oh, you're going to have this situation happen," and people are like, "Well, I didn't have that situation happen." But that's not the point of this. This is the point to make you think about things in a different way. And today it's about truth and demanding that from yourself and others. So I think that's it. I think we did it. Check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video. A little box will open and it'll be right up there at the top. Because the forecast came out yesterday, the correspondences for Work and Magic, if you're so inclined, work came out yesterday. And then the reading notes for this reading and then Thursday's reading, I do them on Mondays and Thursdays. If you've never been here before, welcome. But that's what happens here. I do these 2 days a week. You'll see the reading notes on the blog for that as well. I also put the reading notes over on Substack. Sometimes I'll post part of the forecast or part of the correspondences, and I'll say, for the rest of it, go to the blog over there. But I don't. Most of the time, I don't do that. But occasionally I will, just to let people know, hey, there's another place I write where all this comes from, basically. So check that out. I'd love you to do that. Subscribe to the blog if you want to. It doesn't cost anything. I don't send you anything. It's just something, to do. Like here, subscribe here if you haven't. I'd love you to do that too. And come back again. We have still smoke outside. It's ridiculous. Come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.